Hello. Today I'm going to talk you through how to set up a rubric on a Google Doc so you can more easily grade your students' assignments. So notice that I'm starting out with a blank Google Doc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a rubric template that I'm then going to use on all of my students' assignments. So the first thing you want to do, if you don't already have the Teacher Rubric add-on on Google Drive, is you're going to want to get it. So you're going to want to go to add-ons, and I already have it, but if you don't, you click Get Add-ons, and you're just going to search Teacher Rubric. So notice again, it says Manage because I already have it downloaded, but if you don't, it should say Free. So the first thing you want to do is get it, add it, and then once you have it, we'll take it from there. And again, there's all sorts of different things that you can use, different ways to make rubrics. I'm going to focus on Orange Slice because it's the one I'm most familiar with. But again, feel free to explore other options if this one doesn't work for you. So once you have your teacher rubric set up, you're going to want to set this up as a template. So you're going to put, in my case, I'm just going to show you how I set up my rubric for my current event assignments for my students. So you just set it up, title it. So you make sure you title it because this is something you're going to want to save and you're going to want to keep, especially if you're doing different types of assignments that all kind of follow the same rubric. This will make it a lot easier so you don't have to keep doing this over and over again. So now, to make your rubric, now that you have your orange slice, you're going to go and you're going to click Score Rubric. Since this is a blank document, it's going to walk you through the steps of how to set up your rubric. So the first thing you have to decide is the direction in which you want the feedback or the order to go. So in other words, A, B, C, D, F. So from the best to the worst job in each category, or from the worst to the best. You can see here it says awesome, average, more, please. That's this one. That's the one I like. But again, you can choose however you want to do it. So choose your performance level progression. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is decide what you want the top of each performance level to say. If you want it to just be A, B, C, D, F, if you want it to say great, good, average, needs more, or you can use emojis, you can make your own. It's up to you. I personally just like to go with this. I know that some people like to go with exceeds expectations, meets expectations, and that's again something that you can do. The next thing you're going to want to do is select your categories. In other words, the thing that's going to go on the left or what you're actually looking for in your assignment. In my case, I'm not an English teacher. This orange slice is kind of formatted for English teachers. If you're not, that's okay. You can still use it. So the only thing I really borrowed, and again, if you're an English teacher and you like it, you can go ahead and just use the pre-made categories. Otherwise, you can add your own. So in my case, when I did my current event assignment, I basically looked for vocabulary, but everything else I had to add my own. So, and there's only going to have two, but I'm going to show you how to add more. So once you click Create Rubric, you'll see that it'll pop up with some vocabulary words. So it says 4, 3, 2, 1, or missing or not used correctly. And then there's just this blank one. So this is where you're going to actually get a chance to add your own. And if you have more than this, then what you need to do is just add more rows. A quick shortcut to do it, notice how I'm on the bottom right-hand corner. You just click Tab, and you can add as many extra tabs as you need. So once, go ahead, add the tabs or select your categories, and when you're ready, we'll keep going. Okay, and in my case, I added one too many tabs for what I'm looking for. So if you need to delete it, just select the row that you need and you can delete it. Okay, so once you have all that set up, you can start setting up your categories. So things like So in my case, I'm looking for article source, summary, and connection to class. And again, you can customize these. So there are two ways to go about it. You can go ahead and just type into the spreadsheet, or if you already have a rubric set up somewhere else, either on another Google Doc or on a Word document, you can copy and paste those categories in here. So in my case, I already had this part of the rubric typed out, so instead of retyping everything, I can just copy and paste. So as far as article source, I can just paste in my categories, and I can do the same thing for everything else. So for my summary, because again, in my case, I was asking my students to find an article, summarize it, and connect it to a concept from class. But again, you can use this for anything. So I'm just copying and pasting all my categories. Feel free if you need to take the time to type in what you're looking for. And when you're ready and you're good and you have your category set up, you have what you're looking for in each, you click Score Rubric and it'll take you to the next step. In this case, we've already decided we want it to be, or in my case, so you can decide if you want it to be analysis, it's going to give them a numerical grade. Competency and holistic are more just, they're going to look at the average of what you selected. So if most of what you graded was good, then it'll give them feedback and say it's good, or it needs more, or they're not ready. So competency and holistic are really good if you are giving them feedback in the process of a project. So if they're turning in a rough draft and you want to show them where they stand, these are really good because it doesn't give them a numerical grade. It gives them feedback and it gives them ideas of what they can fix. However, if you want to actually use this to grade, then you're going to stick to analysis. The next thing you're going to want to decide is how many points your assignment is worth. Is it worth 100 points? Is it worth 50 points? Is it worth 150 points? Because that'll help determine everything else. And it just makes it easier when you're going in and putting things in gradebook. If you like to do things out of 30 points or out of 40 points, you don't have to do any math. It'll do it for you. So to keep it simple, I'm just going to do it out of 100. And then notice how performance points, it says 0 to 25. So this is really important. And this is one of the points where I still got confused up until recently. So in other words, this is where you put it in descending order. So if they get all great, there's 4 categories here. That's why it says 25. The more categories you have, the less each one is going to be worth. So I have 4, so 25, 25, 25, 25. That adds up to 100. Because again, my total points for this assignment is 100 points. So whatever it is, just make sure that you go in descending order. So in this case, if it's great, that's worth 25 points each. If it's good, it's worth 20. If it's average, it's worth 15. If it needs more, it's worth 10. And then if it's not ready, you just give them 5. So notice if you add all these up, they add up to 100. That's what you're looking for. So the next thing you want to do is you have to decide if you want certain categories to be worth more than others. Again, if you're doing just holistic, you're done. If you are happy with everything being worth the same amount, you're done. You can click finished and you can move on to the next part. I'm going to show you how to do the weighted categories just because it's one more slightly more complicated step and I want to show you how to get that done. So let's say I want, and you can also weight your performance levels too. In other words, if you wanted great or good to be passing and these to be failing, you can weight it that way as well. it's a similar process. Most of you, I think, are going to look for weighted categories, especially if there's certain things in the project that you're looking for that you think are more important than others. So for example, in my case, whether the article is from a viable source or not is important, but it's probably not as important as the summary or the connection to class. So this is where you decide how you want to grade it, and it makes it easier than just a regular paper rubric because you can actually go through and do it. So I'm going to select weighted categories, and it'll tell you how much you want each category to be worth. Okay, so in my case, when I weighted it, I weighted my vocabulary as 20%. My article source, like I said, was important, but probably not as important as what they actually got out of the article. So that was worth 10% of the overall average. Their summary was worth 35, and their connection to class was worth 35. So notice as I'm typing these in, it's telling me how much more I need, because again, they're trying to add it up to 100. So if I were to put in, let's say 20, it won't let me because it says I still need 15 more points. So it's nice because it does the math for you already. So there you go. It's 100% total, 0 remains. And now you're ready for the next step. So you're ready. You have your template. And you're ready to start using this for actual assignments. My suggestion to you is when you go to make an assignment for students, go ahead and copy and paste this rubric before you push the assignment out through Google Classroom. Because otherwise, you're going to have to copy and paste this rubric every single time you go to grade an assignment. So I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a second. So again, save this as your template and then create an assignment for your students and copy and paste the template at the bottom, at the top, wherever you want. As long as this rubric is somewhere on the student's assignment, Orange Slice will pick up on it and you can just automatically start grading. So I'm going to open up a sample assignment for my students and I'm just going to copy and paste this onto the assignment. Okay, I've pulled up my student assignment. Notice it's blank. It has directions on it. It has what the students need to fill out. And then that's pretty much it. So what you're going to want to do, you have that template open in another tab. You're just going to copy it. And then I usually like to go to a new page just because it keeps it easier. But then all you're going to do is paste it. And now you're ready to push this out to your students on Google Classroom, which is my suggestion because then they turn it back in, it's all digital, it's paperless, and it gives them really good instantaneous feedback when you're ready. So I'm going to go ahead and push this out to my students, and then I'm going to pick a sample from one of my students and show you how I went about grading it. Okay, so now I've pushed this out to my students and they've submitted it back through Google Classroom. So now all I had to do was open this up and notice my student has filled it out. They have all the information, they have what I'm looking for, and I already had the summary uploaded for them. So not the summary, the rubric, sorry. So now what you're going to want to do, if you already have Teacher Rubric downloaded, and if you already have the rubric somewhere in the document, then when you go to click Score Rubric, it will pull up a sidebar on the right-hand side that will let you automatically click through and just grade. So I'm skimming through my summary and looking for vocabulary, and she used all of them. So she used all 4 vocabulary words from our list, so she's good. As far as the article source, I already noticed I gave them options and she used it. So it's from a viable source. The summary is pretty, I've read through it. I can always pull up the article, so the summary is pretty good. But the connection to class is lacking. So this is also a really good chance for you to, if you need to make comments, you can also make comments on the document. In this case, it says microloans, agriculture, small local farming, but she doesn't actually connect it. So I mean, I can see that there's a connection there. It's just not very explicit, so I can do that. And if it's good and if it's on time, you can click process grade and you're done. You can always make grade adjustments. So if they did an extra credit question on your assignment, you can give them extra credit. If they turned it in late, which in this case, this particular student did, so you can even give them a late grade and it'll automatically deduct points. So in this case, it was late and it was only 1 day late. So for me, that's 15% off. Um, and if you push plagiarism, you can also, again, um, create a plagiarized penalty. And what's nice is if they plagiarize, let's say, and then they go back and fix it and resubmit it, you don't have to regrade the whole thing. You can just undo plagiarize and it'll recalculate without that plagiarism consequence. It's not plagiarized in my case, so it's good. So then what you do is you click process grade and it'll do a little bit of thinking. And notice it says graded. So this is what they'll see when you turn it back into them on Google Classroom. So it says graded, it says their score, and they can see why they got what they got. So they look at the rubric and they can see what they got taken off for. And in this case, it also shows them their late penalty. So this is just a really useful tool, and it's not just for English, it's not just for social studies, but it does work really well with pretty much any assignment that you have on Google Docs. And it gives them really good feedback that allows you to grade it quickly. So if you have any more questions on this that I didn't cover, if you notice, there are instructional videos on YouTube that will help walk you through some more things about this. There's FAQ and feedback. So if I didn't cover a question that you still have, these are two really good resources for you that might help answer the question for you. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope that you will love Teacher Rubric as much as I have, and best of luck to you this year.